I'm now going to show you the smaller version of the bouquet of flowers. This one was a bit too large. This is the more simple one, just a circle. So we go back to the rose again. We will just do a simple rose this time, just like so. There's a circle there. So we come back on this one. We do something very similar again, coming this way. Take another one into center, like so, then bring another one round here. Just do a couple on the top there. Another one, swing it in here. Leave a little bit in here, which is the center of the rose, and just bring another slight one over here. We'll just put the petals on. I've already done a layout of the circles where the flowers will go, you see. So we take this one here. I think I put a little lip on there, overlap of the petal there. We take this one. So the shape of a rose is all different shapes. You can do, check out. Sometimes I wouldn't do always a completely natural one because they are a little bit sharp, shall we say. So I just like to get these movements around here so that the flowers can lay in. Sometimes a really natural flower doesn't always look correct on some of these things. It has to be stylized on occasions. Okay, here we go. So that's your rose, and now I've already got this, or the layout. It's quite simple, you see. Now, as I mentioned before, there are no gaps in between these flowers because they're all touching one another. So they don't leave anything, just like this one, they don't leave any awkward gaps that you don't know how to fill. So as I did on the last one here, we'll do a 5-petal, the Y. There we go. Simple again, just use the same measurement in for the petal there, the petal there. Do one here. That one, you see, you can have the circle or the center slightly off. You can have large petals and something laying in there. I'll just put it so that it looks neater. There's the center again. And there we go into the Y. Cut it into there. It's like segments of a cake, isn't it, really? So now I put the curve in here, just the little curves of the primrose type flower, and here we go, and here again. So really we haven't got so many flowers to contend with here, so they're all fairly easy to a degree to practice. The other one I feel may have been a bit complex for the learners. So we go back again here, you see in there, around again. See how it's gone neatly in within that area and no large gaps. And so the touching method really saves a lot of problems when it comes to the overall look of the thing, and it's easier. You don't leave any awkward, nasty gaps of blanks that you don't know what to contend with. Well, you don't know what to do with them. You know, I go and, don't know. So they just leave them. So here we go. Shall I think I'll make it like we normally do, the same style of flower all the way round. We can put these in, but it's up to you. But sometimes the regular look of a thing and stylized sometimes is better. So we got the petal here. As I mentioned before, sometimes not all flowers, see, they can go underneath. Not all flowers have the same petal. We're looking overhead, you see, at the flower here. we're not looking sideways where it gets more of a ellipse type of shape. So that's a big one here, yeah, so I'll make it a little bit smaller, put it in the center there. It's a little bit larger, not to worry, it's only a demonstration. Here we go. Again, in here again, here. I haven't measured this one out, I haven't done my Y shape on this, have I? So now, I'm just going around here and here again. So there's your flower. Here, see, get a nice little cut in there. And so we're going all the way around, and I feel that you can see okay. Make sure. There we are. So now it's going to touch this flower. So that one there maybe is slightly off. So we put it in here. So I'll do it again. Y, got 5 petals. Here we go. Yeah. There. There. Round again. So it's all little loops. So they're all regular. Now, what have we done here? You see, so now, if you can see here, there's a gap here, and there's a little gap there. That one's small enough for us to shade in, and it doesn't really matter. But when it comes to the large ones, stated before, these bouquets sometimes, you know, a flower might not be close to the other one. So it's either a leaf or a stem that comes underneath, but it's going to grow from somewhere, and you've got to make something of it. And a flash of light, something doesn't always go. So maybe just put a little circle in there just to see what it's like, and shut that off there, maybe just a little bit. So you've got 2 little somethings in there, you know, so a little bit of another flower growing, little buds or so, and that just makes it neater. Trying to put some big leaf on yours, so you might find it looks awkward. So here we go again. We put this circle, keep them the same size virtually here, but in the center again. If it's slightly off, doesn't matter, because that's how flowers go. See if I put that one in there and this one in here. I'm giving it a bit of a twist. You see these going this way, so I can make the flower look a little bit like so. Again, give it a little bit of a spiral in it. You see, all flowers have got different shapes, and nobody's here to tell you what you shouldn't put in. Now there we have that gap. Wow, that's a big one, you see. So now I can put that, make that into a leaf coming from underneath the rose there. Just put a little shape in there like that. So I've got this little here, and when it comes through I could shade it over just gradually, just put a few lines over it to make it look grey. And so now we're going to go back to this other one. We'll go through the same old routine. You know, just correcting the shape. Now, Y. Here, there, there. So now you have your shapes. See, that's a bit larger than that, but okay, we can always correct this. I'm trying to speed up a bit, save a lot of problems. I'm always reiterated what I did on the other here, but because, as I mentioned, this is going to be a simpler one. We did this on the centres of, shall we say, the Purdy action sometimes, the smaller bouquets, little round ones, and I have seen other engravers' interpretations of the bouquet of flowers, and sometimes they look very mechanical, as though they've been stamped on. So regular, so round, so restricted. There's no sort of naturalness to them. You see, even if it goes a little slightly wonky, that's a flower. It goes, you just see it from a slight angle. That gives it more the natural look. And then some of them, because we got a circle here, they may put their dividers on and make a circle on that very mechanically, and they will shade mechanically up to that line there, and they will do everything up to the line. And it's not like this, shall we say, airy coming out here, you know, very fine little, it blends in with, if we got to scroll around the side, you see, it will blend in. It doesn't oppress that. It doesn't, it's nothing that feels as though it's harsh. It gives it a quality. So now we have that. In between this now, we don't necessarily need any other flowers in there, because if you get a nice little shaped leaf, which is, you know, do your little shaped leaves in here, like so, just coming in to fill these spaces here, and little ones coming here. It's all our little reversed S's, you see, so it's there, and we'll fill that in. There, we got another one here, and there we will do that. So now we have the petals in, the leaves in here, and as I emphasize time and again, we rarely have any straight lines. These lovely little curves keep everything on the curve. Now, stated here too, in between these flowers, to throw them forward and to make the bouquet look as though it's just got a little bit of something outside, we normally shade with lines, but because of the time and showing you here, this pencil will just do virtually the same, but I'm going to do it fast. So now I'm doing this movement, but each individual one of these should be, when you're using the graver, very fine little lines here. But you see, it's giving this here to throw these leaves out, see? So now I'm keeping this here like so. These would all be fine little lines if you wanted to do. You cut these, but don't make them a great big black blob. Keep finesse, keep it fairly fine. You don't want it. You just need a fine shade around here, just to give that. If you make it too black and obvious, it does look mechanical. Okay. So we get this here, just giving this fine thing, as though I was cutting finely. As mentioned before, sometimes we used to have a lining tool, a fine lining tool. Muller's used to sell them, or I don't know if they still do now. And they have a series of grooves in them, and that makes, it's like a fork. If you pull a fork across the surface of your potatoes or anything, you leave those lines, you see. So you have this line, and they will cut little lines, little series of lines like so. Okay, so you've seen me do it here. I will do it here, but to save time, I will just make it a little bit faster, and I might even go like so, right? But you understand that it's going to be this type of thing. So I'm speeding the things up here, because you're going to spend a little time on shading these, you know, so you keep it in here. Remember, it's a flower, you've got your little petals. You don't, a pansy sometimes has a very dark colouring in it. Now here's my little dot that helps me define it as a little flower, like a little forget-me-nots, you see. forget-me-nots have this little dot in them, and sometimes if they're left plain, I'm not too. That's just a personal thing I do, you know, to make it those little flowers. Boom! It gives them extra colouring, shall we say, in monotone, because these would be various colours, and a yellow centre with a dark little stamen in the centre there. See, so here we go, and just keep it moving like so. Put a little thing there. So the shading here brings these little flowers to life, you see, and that's what you want. State again, don't overdo it. Don't try to be too clever and just make a big black blob. If you're using your microscope, you still got to think it's going to be viewed by the naked eye. Yes, if the guy who's looking at it is so keen on it, he takes out his loupe and has a good look at it and sees your work, oh, that's good. But now there's a problem sometimes with these microscopes. You can see everything and it looks beautiful underneath until you take it out, and then it's a little bit, you know, too much. You only need a few lines sometimes on the thing, just there to give it a little of life. So now we're coming into the rose now, and the rose is still, because of the pencil, it's okay. So you can put a little cut in there and just do a little fine ones here just to give it that shade there, and you do these type of things. As I mentioned, it would all be done with the engraver by pushing. But I'm just got a rough pencil, rather large point really, to demonstrate. That is the thing when you're drawing too. It's a tool. See, your engraver is made to cut and to have a fairly good wet on it, you know, to make it sharp, and so you can cut very finely. If your tool is accurate, you sometimes have one that you need to get out the cut. You don't want it to stick because it's too sharp, but on the very fine shading, then you can have a very fine sharp one like a Bolino, and it will do the very fine stuff that you need. So you give it a little fine shading just here to lift it. Can be done with little dots if you wanted to, but it's going far. Now we're going to put the outside work in, which is this, and you will excuse me, if you get the florist and it comes in and they send it through the post, you know, whatever, and you get a lovely bouquet of flowers. Sometimes they throw a bit of junk in with it, you know. It's according to how much you pay for it, of course. So now, here we go. I am going to put a few little bits of like a reed in here. So I'm going to use another pencil if I have one. Oh no, I don't seem to have it handy. Okay, I needed a finer one, but I've got one here. Okay, this will be a bit finer. May emphasize a little bit more. This is a bit granular. Okay, so now if I was to do that shape, you see, so it's like a little reed. So you can do that here and bring them out, but extremely finely. You don't want anything heavy because it's all. This is just to give it that airy effect all the way around. So you get a very fine, then you put your your things in like so, and then you might emphasize a little bit of something else, a little bit of here, and because these little dots and things like that, they're fine when it's miniaturized to something smaller. That's better. but we don't need anything that's too obvious and too heavy. Because I see this type of thing. You see, I just see that regularly done all the way around, something like that, all the way around by some engravers. No, okay, do what you want. I'm not going to be dictatorial, but if you wanted to just give it a little bit of that fine stuff, you see, like that, an extra cut. The cuts vary. They're very, almost like a scratch across sometimes, you know, and then fill in the little things. It's not obvious. It's a little fern that's coming out, a little bit like so, and it's coming out like this, and dots there, and a little bit here, and then you go the other way because it's coming out like a plant grows in the different. So you will put in little bits, but don't forget, I'm going rather fast on this one, so I'm getting back to my big pencil now. So here we go. So now I'll get these little cuts, little dots and things in here. You see, you get it's practice, observation of what other people have done, the good ones. Must emphasize, if you want to be a good engraver, you should always look at quality engraving. There's a lot of, shall we say, inferior stuff around, and not every engraver has the ability to do really good stuff. And sometimes it's no fault of theirs, because it's only within a few years, because we have this communication, that I've seen what other people are doing. And if I had seen this when I was younger, all the various things to inspire you, I don't know where I would be, you know, because now you can see all types of work, and choose the best. Go for the best. You know, you see all these styles, and you don't want to be a clone of everybody. You got to master, yeah, and emulate him. Want to be better, want to do better. See, this is what I'm doing here now. See, it's nothing. It's just wispiness. Your graver can do this. Sometimes a pencil can't always do the things you want it to. Well, again, it's according to the material you're working on. Even the paper here, you see, it's rougher than some papers. And if I was to do a demonstration on another type of paper, it might be much easier. This has got a slight grain to it. And some steels, I've seen people, when they're doing their practice pieces, their piece of metal hasn't got a real shine on it. Sometimes they just use it with a surface that hasn't been polished, to the degree that gives it a good effect. You know, some of it's got like an orange peel look on it. So it can hamper you. So all this, like I mentioned before, your pencil, any equipment you're working with, see, that's got rather a thick point now, but I'm doing it fairly large, but I still don't like this. I should have it sharper. I would prefer it sharper, so I could do my lines the way I want to. It's the feel of the thing. Same with the engraver. You've got to get a feel for the touch. The metal, sometimes you fight, and sometimes you don't. Sometimes it's, oh, wow, this is great, you say. And it gives you the result you want. Well, there we are. And you can advertise little bits like this after, you know, if you wanted to. It's like I'm doing. You see, I go back and I see things and I think, well, I could improve on that. But as you've noticed now, as I mentioned before, there's hardly any gaps between these. It's all touching. Don't leave gaps. Mind the gap. We always have that on the underground station, you know, you can fall down between the gap of the train. So remember, mind the gap, keep that in mind, close it up, and it'll work out easier for you. Well, good luck with it. I'll let you just have a go and see, but it's a little bit like straw. All the best.